Hey guys, tonight we find ourselves on the cusp of history, stepping into the shadowy echoes of the Sassanid Empire. The room is quiet, the lights are dim, and as you close your eyes, the air begins to thicken with the scent of sacred fire wafting gently through ancient streets. You hear the rhythmic clinking of armor, the sound of marching guards patrolling the winding alleyways. Above you, the Persian sky blazes with the anger and warmth of the burning sun. This is a world of vibrant life and harsh realities. You probably won't survive this, at least not without some difficulty. So before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. And hey, why not post your location and local time in the comments to share your part of the night with us? Now dim the lights. Maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. As you blink your eyes open, you find yourself in the heart of Ctesiphon, the grand city that hums with a life all its own, even as the ancient bricks seem to softly whisper stories of bygone days. Around you, merchants call out to passers-by, their stalls overflowing with colorful cloth and spices that stain the air with their exotic aromas. You can almost taste the vibrant zest of saffron mixed with the sweetness of ripe dates. The city was more than just a capital. It was a thriving heart of culture and intellect, drawing scholars and traders from distant lands. This place was a melting pot of ideas, a clash and meld of cultures. Persian art and science were flourishing, and Zoroastrian priests roamed with purpose, spreading their mysterious influence. You ponder the significance of sacred fires, dotting the landscape, blazing in ever-present homage to Ahura Mazda, casting a perennial glow over Ctesiphon. As you wander through the Grand Bazaar, an enormous structure catches your eye. It's the Khosrow, the imposing archway that stands proudly as the largest single-span vault of unreinforced brickwork ever constructed. The sight is both magnificent and humbling. There's something about walking under that great arch that makes you feel simultaneously connected to both the past and an impending future. Historians still debate whether its designer was gifted or perhaps divinely inspired by some forgotten touch of the gods. Its grandeur almost feels like a message sent from the heart of the empire, whispering stories about the might and innovation of a civilization long forgotten. You decide to escape the hustle of the marketplace by wandering towards the outskirts, where the palatial gardens are said to offer a sanctuary from the heat. You pass families picnicking under shady trees and individuals taking languid strolls along pristine pathways. These gardens are legendary, a manifestation of paradise on earth, filled with exotic plants, and the sound of bubbling fountains creating a serene symphony with birdsong. It's a place of both leisure and contemplation. A local woman pauses her leisurely walk to share a peculiar piece of history with you. She tells of King Khosrow I, a ruler whose dreams were as grand as his empire. Among his many feats, his palace held a vast hall filled with treasures, and the famed spring of Khosrow, a lush carpet that depicted a regal garden in full bloom. Yet with all his treasures and triumphs, there's a lingering air of mystery as to how this empire, so mighty in its day, eventually faded into obscurity, leaving behind only traces of its majesty. At one edge of the garden, An elderly scribe sits under a tall cypress, his nimble hands holding a reed pen poised over papyrus. The scribe's keen eyes have witnessed many turns of fortune. With gentle curiosity, you inquire about his trade, only to learn that he's been documenting the tumultuous reigns of kings, the rise of Zoroastrianism, and the quiet persistence of other faiths, thriving under the empire's tolerant yet complex rule. Acts of kindness coexist with tales of power, struggles and espionage that shake the very foundations of this great nation. As evening approaches, the sun dips below the horizon, and the city is cast in the warm embrace of twilight. Small fires flicker to life, and you find yourself drawn towards a group gathering in a nearby courtyard. The flames dance in the eyes of those assembled, a collection of philosophers, travelers, and locals who exchange stories and wisdom, creating a tapestry of thoughts, both profound and whimsical. One tale recounts the dream of a Persian mystic who spoke of the empire's descent, a vision of sands softly reclaiming monuments and empires dissolving into legend. There's a certain weight to these words that lingers with you, leaving an impression as timeless as the stone beneath your feet. You listen transfixed by the music of a long-vanished world, each note a testament to a culture that sought harmony between man, nature, and the divine. The stars above glimmer like jewels scattered across the night sky, reflecting the opulence of the history woven into every fiber of this place. Whatever your tomorrow holds, this night is a gift, a fragile relic of serene acceptance and wonder. The empire may have fallen, but its spirit whispers in the breeze, echoing the timeless truths of human endeavor and dreams. You find yourself in the vast lands of ancient Persia, a place bustling with tales older than the stones themselves. Amidst the shifting sands and echoes of ancient conquerors, you come across a figure whose shadow looms larger than life. Ardashir is his name, a provincial governor, standing with resolve and eyes set on the future. The Parthian Empire, with its once unyielding foundation, is now but a faint memory, its might blurring into the desert winds. You watch as Ardashir rises against the very empire he once served. The realm is in disarray, provinces slipping away like sand between fingers, leaving a canvas full of potential for those daring enough to reach for it. Ardashir chooses his path, not just with the sharpness of his blade, but with the weight of a title. He declares himself the King of Kings, a proclamation both audacious and heavy with promise. Days trickle by, and you see how he manages to infuse meaning into his every deed. Historians often scratch their heads, debating whether it was all a masterstroke of political genius or pure defiance. But here he stands, shaping the future brick by brick, word by word. Instead of relying solely on force, you observe how he carefully intertwines symbolism into his newfound rule. His title a constant reminder of his ambition. The sun rises again over the newfound kingdom, glinting off the spires of cities where growth and change are inevitable. You witness the establishment of a dynasty, its roots going deep as the delicate tendrils of young vines. Historians affirm it lasted for a remarkable 400 years, long enough for tales to echo across generations. You marvel at the foresight of Ardashir, who knows well that empires are not built in a day, nor with mere swords, but with laws, religion, and the essence of culture. As he strengthens his grip on the lands, you feel the winds of change upon your skin. Ardashir does not rush into conquest, though. Each step is measured, each territory claimed, with strategic patience. Here you see a king who understands that to build a legacy, one must look to the roots of a society, intertwining them with the political tapestry he weaves. You journey further with Ardashir in his quest to solidify this nascent empire. He leans heavily on the faith of Zoroastrianism, asserting that divine support is the backbone of his rightful reign. To many, it's surprising how deeply he weaves his faith into the empire's foundation, an unusual detail that speaks to both his personal beliefs and his keen understanding of unity through common belief. Striding through the land, you admire the great structures that begin to dot the landscape, each one a testament to Ardashir's influence. Debate still lingers in scholarly circles about which grand palace came first, with tales often weaving themselves into the fabric of history, as if they were one and the same. You can't help but chuckle at the thought of castles built solely with stories of grandeur, as reliable as they are intangible. Preparing for what lies ahead, you feel the story shift around you, its threads growing tighter as the mighty tale urges you forward with Ardashir in this seamless endeavor of ambition. Plans unfold under the cover of starlit nights, the wisdom of advisors, and the guiding hand of fate itself. Yet Ardashir never loses sight of the image he must project: a ruler both feared for his strength and adored for his fairness. As his journey unfolds, you realize that this is more than just a battle for land. It's a struggle to carve identity and destiny from the bedrock of history and myth. And so, as you fall into the rhythm of Ardashir's rise, the world around you finds itself smoothed out like driftwood polished against the sands of time. Walls echo with renewed vows of allegiance. Commerce flourishes under laws that carry the king's seal, and the once crumbling relics of an ancient past stir with life. With the night growing deeper, you feel the soft hum of the calming breeze enveloping the landscape. Ardashir's presence serves as a reminder that the legacy of leadership lies not solely in conquest, but in the ideals that guide a people forward bit by bit towards a horizon yet unseen. Imagine the soft evening sands of ancient Persia slipping beneath your feet as you step into a realm where emperors clash and history is carved in stone. You find yourself in the midst of tumultuous times where Shapur, one son of the great ruler Ardashir, rises not just with an eye for rule, but for conquest. His legacy, you sense, is steeped in sagas of victory that echo loudly across centuries, reverberating with the clang of battles long fought. Under the moonlit nights where stories are whispered among the Persian stars, you hear of a victory that shifts the very course of history. Shapur I has achieved what many thought impossible. Imagine the scene: an emperor, a formidable Roman emperor named Valerian, captured amidst the chaos of battle, marking a singular day in history when the balance of power quivered at the feet of a man whose ambitions knew no bounds. It's said that no Roman emperor ever suffered such a fate before, and this image immortalized in stone endures through time, showing Shapur with his foot triumphantly placed over the Roman's back. You can almost feel the grit of that ancient dust, the tangible weight of dominance. But as you settle into this historical tale, you realize that every triumph weaves threads of consequence into the fabric of time. Shapur's victory is no different. It's whispered among scholars, those protectors of ancient lore, that such a victory, grand as it is, might have seeded a rivalry that would stretch across centuries. This capture of Valerian does more than shuffle rulers' fates. It ignites a fierce ongoing dance of power and bitterness with the Roman world. Historians still debate whether this moment was the true spark or merely another flicker in a long chain of animosities. But tonight, as you rest back into the soft hold of this tale, you might imagine the resonance, the ripples of empires, clashing like waves across the vast sea of time. And so in this tale edged with both triumph and forethought, we find a narrative as intricate and nuanced as the geometrical patterns woven into Persian silks. Just enough to remind you that every shadow of glory carries its own tale of light and darkness. As you drift deeper into this story, let the distant echoes of history guide you, enveloping you in the soothing rhythm of an ancient lullaby. You wake up to the smell of flatbread, the texture still warm and slightly chewy in your hands. It's just another morning with a simple meal of bread, thick yogurt, and sweet dates, a humble breakfast that fuels your day. The soft light filters through a small window, casting shadows that seem to dance with the cool morning breeze. As you step outside, you're immediately immersed in the narrow streets of your bustling village. The sun is just beginning its ascent, painting the sky a spectrum of orange and pink. The warmth of its rays is a welcome companion as you begin your day. Market vendors are already shouting their canorous appeals, their voices rising above the general hum of the crowd. They're keen to sell their goods, each one promising the freshest produce, the finest fabric. You clench your hand tighter around the leather coin pouch, aware that bargaining is a necessary skill here in the market. The scent of spices, cumin, coriander, cardamom, hangs heavy in the air, mixing with the saltiness of the nearby sea breeze. The market is alive, a vivid tapestry of color and noise, with people going about their duties in close quarters. Priests draped in white robes move gracefully among the people, their presence commanding a quiet respect. Some ponder whether these figures truly hold divine knowledge or merely project an untouchable aura that society reveres. Historians still debate whether these priests wielded more power than the nobles pulling strings behind scenes with a quiet dignity and subtlety. You find yourself in a strictly divided society, each layer of status, almost like the stonework of a pyramid, neatly stacked and rigid. The nobles in their silk garments and gold jewelry hardly seem like they belong to the same world. They carry an air of prosperity gliding above the crowd, untouchable and aloof. It's no wonder you're always reminding yourself of your station, the reality check, that you probably wouldn't survive in the shoes of a noble negotiating alliances and dictating the order of the day. Your life, simple yet harsh, is guided by the ebb and flow of the sun. From dawn to dusk, your activities are defined by the natural rhythm of daylight. Sunrise means a new day of toil. Sunset signals a reprieve, at least until the cycle begins anew. There's a comfort in the routine, a steady predictability to your existence, even if that means enduring the relentless grind. Your daily duties are now calling, but there's a small joy in the exchanges that pepper the routine. You pause in the market and smile at a familiar face, a merchant renowned for his tenacity at closing deals. He is often seen exchanging goods for coins with a deft hand, laying out vibrant fabrics that catch the light just so. His colorful stories of faraway lands entertain as much as they baffle. Tales that spark your imagination even as you doubt their truth. An unusual detail catches your eye, an apprentice quietly observing the hustle and bustle twine, and paper in hand. He's sketching the scene, capturing the essence of the market, this transient yet timeless tableau. Who knows if his work will one day hang on the walls of a noble's home, a snapshot of life captured forever in colors and lines. You continue your walk, shadowed now by a gentle wave of nostalgia. The peal of children's laughter rings out a reminder of the innocence and simple pleasures of life, before work and duty took precedence. For a moment, you're swept back to a time of chasing after friends and sharing dreams of what might be. Dreams, perhaps, that you now live through stories and musings, not yet realizing how those tales weave into your own tapestry, colorful, complex, and uniquely yours. The streets narrow further, twisting and turning with the unpredictability of life itself. As the sun continues its climb, your path becomes more crowded, the people as varied as the wares they hawk. Different voices blend together, a symphony of daily life in this town you call home. There's a sense of camaraderie here, everyone together in the struggle against time and toil. Yet beneath the apparent chaos there is a harmony, a shared understanding that while society is strictly divided, each person's role is crucial to the delicate balance of life as you know it. As you wind your way homeward, another day inching towards its close, you pass by the shrine, where a flickering lamp sends shadows dancing over the stone. You pause, acknowledging its serene presence in a world that can seem anything but calm. Life as it is continues onward. This narrative, your narrative, is both ancient and new, unfolding as the sun makes its descent, leaving behind a world ready for night and the promise of tomorrow. The sun now dips behind the hills, casting a long shadow over the village. With it comes the quiet of a day ended, where the world seems to slow its frantic pace. The streets empty gradually, the market vendors counting their day's earnings with practiced fingers and tired stories. The children are called home, the echo of their laughter now, a memory echoing in the freshly quietened air. Finally, you settle in for the evening. The flicker of a candle throws warm light onto your worn yet beloved possessions. The rhythm of your day slows the weight of exhaustion, gently pulling you towards rest. You close your eyes, letting the scenes of the day slip away, comforted by the certainty of the sun rising again tomorrow. From the warm glow of the sacred fire that dances like a living soul itself, you feel a gentle warmth wrapping around you as though ancient hands were patting you with benedictions. It's the Yatash Baram, an eternal flame that burned long before you were born and will blaze long after you are gone, a beacon of purity and divine favor. The crackling whispers of the fire are almost audible above the serene hum of night, like the murmuring spirits of ages past. Once you settle into this scene, you hear the soft rustle of whispered prayers in Avestan, an ancient language that feels as mysterious as the dim, starry sky above. Imagine, if you will, a life woven together by the ancient threads of Zoroastrianism, where every action is a thread in the grand cosmic tapestry. From the moment you are born into this world, this faith cradles you, teaching you about the sacred balance between order and chaos. Even as you grow, it's clear that this isn't merely a religion, it's an intricate dance of beliefs that molds state policy, directs social norms, and organizes very life into a beautiful symphony. As a child, you might find the solemnity a bit overwhelming, like trying to decipher the secretive expressions of grown-ups as they perform fire and water rituals. These elements aren't just ordinary substances. They are symbols of purity arenas, where cosmic battles between light and dark play out. Though you might sneak a cheeky smile here and there, wondering if the water will feel colder just because it's sacred, you quickly learn the sincerity in each splash and each flicker of the flame. Perhaps one of the most striking elements of Zoroastrianism is its ability to preserve the grand cosmic order. It's believed that Angra Mainyu, the spirit of destruction, is constantly in battle with Ahura Mazda, the divine light, and each ritual observance strengthens the latter. Historians still debate whether these rituals truly influence the cosmic forces or merely reinforce the community spirit. But the debate itself lends an air of mystery to your nightly stories. You might find it surprising, a fact certain to intrigue the youthful mind, that Zoroastrian scribes recorded spells and rituals on gold and silver because those metals were considered sacred. Imagine inscribing your secrets on a sheet of gold, knowing they would stand the test of time and perhaps assist in the eternal battle against malevolent forces. Passed through generations, these glistening pages held power beyond mere words. Moving through life, you discover that the sacred fire isn't restricted to temples. It burns within, reflecting the dual nature of existence and encouraging you towards reflective purity within good thoughts, good words, and good deeds, the triad of Zoroastrian ethics that anchor every decision and ripple through to every corner of life, shaping the fabric of society. Let's take you on a journey through a later stage in life when the inevitable time for burial nears. Herein lies a practice that might make your eyebrows arch in surprise. The silent towers, or dachmas, where bodies are laid not to rest, but to return to the earth in a way that avoids contaminating the elements. You learn that the sky is a sacred element, and exposure to it ensures a new cycle of life and death, quietly honoring the boundless energies that underlie existence. The circle of life and death harmonized once more is just like the stories you heard as a child. Within this elegant mosaic, every part of life, from joyous births to pious prayers and solemn burials, is guided by the same invisible hand, a cosmology that seeks to keep the universe in harmony. And despite the weight of tradition, a lightheartedness persists. If you look closely, perhaps, behind a sacred text or beneath a flickering candle, you still might find a timeless prankster spirit, like the gleeful child hiding from those solemn rituals, reminding you that the mysteries of life, like these stories, echo through time, whispering, keep exploring. Hold on to this echo as the dark gives way to slumber. The gentle stories of old may guide your dreams long after the sacred fire dims into embers, and the ancient prayers quiet into silence, a seamless lullaby of history carrying you softly into the night. The empire is vast, and its pulse beats with the rustle of parchment and the scratch of quills. You find yourself seated among rows of scribes, their ink-stained fingers flying across scrolls, capturing the life of the empire in a dance that is both frenetic and oddly soothing. Each decree, tax, and judgment is meticulously recorded, an art form in itself, a tapestry woven from ink and intention. Around you, it's a world of quiet concentration, broken only by the rustle of pages, the occasional clearing of throats, or the murmured request for more ink. The scribes are the empire's silent warriors, shoulders hunched in undying devotion to the truth, as defined by the current ruler's whims. Despite their pivotal roles, these civil servants linger in anonymity, bound not to the glamours of court, but to the steady rhythm of duty. Historians say the likes of Julius Caesar relied heavily on such documentation to manage and maintain the Roman Empire's vast territories. Yet buried beneath the banality of record-keeping lies, a surprising reveal this bureaucracy so effective at preserving order can become the largest roadblock when flexibility is required. It's whispered that when Han Dynasty records decreed taxes, an error in these very scrolls once led to weeks of unrest and confusion due to an accidental omission of a single character, a consequence of the empire's typical inflexibility. You see, in the great machine of empire, every person plays a crucial part, working in unison like the finely cut gears of a towering clock. But unlike the soothing tick of time-passing change, clinks and groans struggling to find its way through layers of red tape and protocol. As you shuffle through another scroll, your gaze drifts to an unusual detail sketched lightly in the margin, what seems to be a doodle of the emperor's favorite pet, a nod to the man beneath the crown. Such tiny rebellions are sprinkled amidst the pages, fragments of humanity, peeking out from behind the endless formality. The scribes must surely find comfort in these small acts of defiance, offering a silent reminder of their individuality in a sea of uniformity. Sitting there enveloped in the soothing glow of oil lamps, surrounded by the perfume of old parchment and ink, you realize that the empire's rigidity is as much a part of its charm as its Achilles heel. You learn of matters left untouched, not for a lack of desire, but due to the inescapable weight of tradition and bureaucracy that anchors them stubbornly in place. You ponder how something so essential to the empire's function could leave it so vulnerable, like an ant carrying burdens far beyond its size, relentless and tireless. until the burden becomes too heavy. There's comfort in recognizing the scribes' unwavering dedication, their unyielding commitment to accuracy. Yet there's intrigue in the understanding that every stroke of the quill holds potential power, the possibility of change, resting just beneath the surface. Scholars often argue over the impact of such institutions. Were they the backbone of stability, or did they ultimately stifle progress? The night deepens as you continue to absorb this world of careful documentation, where each calculated move speaks to the delicate balance between order and chaos. Dust motes dance in the lamplight, reflecting the quiet clamor of an empire alive in its paper heart. Your heart slows, echoing the rhythmic scribblings around you, lulling you into contemplative calm. For an empire, you think these scrolls mean everything: history and future triumphs, and failure's power and its graceful or disastrous application. Against your heart's steady drumming, you find yourself lost in the realization that life, even amidst the rigidness of rules and ledgers, is wondrous chaos swaying in delightful cadence. And as you let this thought comfort you, the gentle shuffle of moving paper reminds you of rocking boats on the tranquil sea, leaving you with a feeling of mellow satisfaction, wrapped in the wise acceptance that even the mightiest empires must learn, where flexibility finds its place amidst unwavering order. And so, your sensation of time begins to fade as the calming fabric of history unfurls around you, drawing you into the age-old world of the Sassanid Empire. Imagine yourself in the heart of this ancient realm, where towering palaces of stone and exotic gardens create an atmosphere rich with the whispers of centuries past. You are a noblewoman in the land that is today known as Iran, your life tied closely, not just to the expectations of your standing, but also to a surprising degree of personal autonomy and privilege. As a woman of the Sassanid aristocracy, you have the unusual ability to own land and control your own property, a truly rare occurrence in the ancient world. The air is sweet with the scent of pomegranates and almonds as you wander through the gardens of your estate, the sandals on your feet brushing softly against the intricately carved stone paths. Yet beneath the grandeur and apparent freedom, there are underlying currents that define your place in this sprawling empire. The expectations of your family and the whispers of the clergy reverberate around you, binding you within the unseen threads of your time and class. Despite your privileges, you remain deeply woven into a world where the solemnity of duty often eclipses the light of freedom. Even your robes, long and elegant, symbolize this delicate balance. Their draping folds are historically accurate, seen in statues that endure beneath layers of dust. Faces serious and somber, echoing the rigidity of the roles they represent. Historians still debate whether these heavy garments, so meticulously carved in stone, served merely as symbols of order or stood as silent protests against the confines women like you must navigate. Your education, though a boon by ancient standards, reminds you of the fine lines between empowerment and expectation. Your days are filled with learning, attended by tutors, versed in the arts of poetry, religions, and the histories that form the backbone of your world. You compose verses under the wide open sky, aware that few beyond your unusual circle will ever hear a woman's voice echo through the storied halls of ancient scrolls. Much of life in the Sassanid era is dictated not by what you do, but by where and to whom you are born. To the bustling markets of the cities, or the far-flung villages outside their walls, tales of your life would seem luxurious, yet extravagant. The common women glance up from their weaving or labor, catching glimpses of statues, depicting noble women like you, while wrapped in modest garments of linen and wool, dreaming of lives beyond their reach. Among Sassanid noblewomen, the right to divorce adds yet another layer of freedom, albeit one wrapped tightly in both privilege and peril. This right is not about love or liberation in the sense you might know today, but rather a measure of leverage, a political tool, wielded with caution and strategy, leaving common people to sigh at the enigmatic dance of power. One sun-drenched afternoon, as you move through your garden, you pause by a reflecting pool. The mirror-like surface captures your face, and the cascading leaves overhead, grounding you once more in the ebb and flow of your time. Your thoughts drift toward other women of your era, those laboring far from your gaze, wrapped not in silk, but in the harsher fabrics of survival. Their lives, mysterious and unseen across the gulf of centuries, pulse with resilience amid hardships. Slowly, as the sky weaves threads of dusk amid the clouds, you feel the empire's vastness settle like a gently thrown shawl. It is a tapestry of lives, linked yet separate, where each woman stitches her narrative into the rich tapestry of the age. Though the freedom you know is cloaked in the formality of lineage and expectation, it is real in its own right, a complex dance of autonomy and adornment. At the same time, echoes of grounding responsibilities and societal specters remind you of your place in the cosmic order of things, a bearer of tradition and transformer of destiny, within an empire that too will pass into legend. The day fades into the calm of approaching night. You find a quiet spot, away from the duties and the monuments of stone portraying solemn faces that long ceased to gaze upon the world. Here you can imagine writing your verses into the scroll of time itself, moments carefully marked, lingering like whispered winds across the ages. As you drift pondering these ancient marks and your connections with the women of both past and future, remember that the tapestry of stories continues. The narrative that began long before you and shapes what is yet to come endures beyond the tear and wear of time, welcoming all who wander into its warm embrace. Float now, gently returning from your wander questions, left to wistful rhetoric as starlight weaves its own web through time. Let go, and in your slow surrender, feel the artifacts of history tuck themselves alongside dreams, settling softly into the recesses of your mind, like a lullaby calm, gentle, ancient, rich, finally easing you into a restful slumber. You walk through the ancient city of Shapur, its bustling streets alive with the whispers of knowledge being shared. The air is thick with a sense of exciting discovery, humming like the chirp of a cricket beneath the stars. Here scholars have gathered from distant lands, Greece, India, and China, like travelers responding to a shared destiny. Their robes flutter in the dry breeze, each stitch enfold a tapestry of their homeland's culture. Entering the grand hall filled with the scent of ink and old parchment, you're hit with the realization you're in a time and place where an entire epic of understanding is being born. Of course, navigating this world comes with its challenges. Mispronounce a word in Greek, fail to recognize the medicinal properties of a local plant or heaven, forbid question too loudly the wisdom of the scholars, and you might find yourself the subject of many a raised eyebrow. Yet here, amidst the echoing voices and swirling ideas, there's a feeling almost electric. You weave between tables where scholars study ancient manuscripts, hand copying texts brought from lands far and wide. The quiet dedication in the room is palpable, punctuated occasionally by a scholar exclaiming their discovery of some hidden meaning or long-lost herbal recipe. So before you get too comfortable in your cozy seat on the cushion-strewn floor, pondering the mysteries of the universe alongside history's geniuses, maybe take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. You never know when you might need a historical anecdote for a sleepy night's tale. Tell me, dear traveler, where are you listening from? And what time is it in your corner of the world? There's something so humbling about knowing we're connected across time zones and backgrounds, much like these scholars were bound by their thirst for knowledge. Now dim, the lights maybe turn on a fan for that soft background hum. And let's ease into tonight's journey together. You can't help but marvel as you watch a philosopher from Greece animatedly discussing the merits of some leafy concoction with an Indian sage, their shared gestures building a bridge between languages. Nearby, a Chinese herbalist carefully lays out an array of plants, the strange shapes casting long shadows over the scrolls. It's hard not to notice the charm of academic uncertainty that fills the air. No one's quite sure if this particular mix of herbs cures headaches or simply makes the patient a tad sleepy, but the debate is half the fun. Historians still debate whether the Byzantine scripts you glimpse contain accurate translations or creative interpretations, their mismatched Greek and Persian characters forming a peculiar dance on the page. Amidst the learning, there are curious moments lost to time, like rumors of an Indian technique that could repair wounds with a precision unknown in the West. Who could have imagined such knowledge would pave the way for surgeries that centuries later would save countless lives? Wandering further, you stumble upon a gathering of scholars huddled around a text, their eager eyes tracing the lines of an ancient medical manuscript. It speaks of balancing the humors with a precise blend of salts and herbs, a practice once abandoned now, hinting tantalizingly at remedies we might recognize today. But then just as easily a murmur of disagreement floats through the hall. Some claim that the body's humors are merely a relic of superstition, though you can't ignore the earnestness with which they pursue this forgotten wisdom. Slowly you're drawn into their world, feeling the warmth of camaraderie. When multiple cultures converge with a common purpose, almost unconsciously your footsteps take you toward an alcove, lined with shelves of worn scrolls. A young apprentice face smudged with ink excitedly explains the nuances of a translation error that changed bitter roots into bitter truths. It almost seems too perfect for a place where words weave reality. The passage of time here is marked not by hours, but by the cycles of ideas, each paragraph, each papyrus, a step towards enlightenment. And as you drift through the corridors of Shapur's wisdom, you realize that each page turned is not just a look back at what was, but a soft whisper of things yet to come. As you step into the palace, the vastness of the hall takes your breath away. The ceiling arches high above like the canopies of ancient forests, and each column stands proudly etched with intricate motifs of flames and eagles. You wonder who was responsible for such grandeur. And for a moment, imagine artisans working meticulously on every detail, breathing life into cold stone. The walls serve as vast canvases adorned with vibrant mosaics that tell tales of hunting expeditions and regal coronations. The scenes are almost alive. You could swear the hounds in one hunting scene are about to leap off the wall chasing after unseen prey. It's as if every stone, every tile has been placed with purpose, whispering secrets from ages long gone. Historians still debate whether this palace belonged to a specific dynasty known for its lavish lifestyles, or if it was a collaborative effort of various influences. What they do agree on, though, is that such palaces were central to the life of the empire, acting both as a home and an administrative hub, a place where decisions that shaped destinies were made. You wander through the hall, feeling the coolness of the stone floor seep through your shoes. The richness of the decor is both overwhelming and comforting. The flame motifs remind you of stories of the legendary phoenix, a symbol of renewal that ancient cultures revered. You muse on how fire, a destructive force, could simultaneously represent rebirth, much like the fearless leaders who once ruled under this very roof. It's surprising to learn that despite the grandeur, these structures served more than just aesthetic purposes. Ancient palaces were often designed with practical elements that went unnoticed by the untrained eye. You spot several cleverly hidden doorways that would have allowed for discreet movement, perfect for royal secrets, and swift exits, like the ancient world's version of a hidden passage. As you delve deeper into the depths of the palace, you're drawn to a particularly stunning mosaic of a coronation imagined as a moment of profound importance, where a leader receives the divine right to rule. The expressions captured in mosaic are almost tangible. The eyes of the king radiate a calm resolve, a stark contrast to the awe and reverence from those around him. Was this particular king a beloved ruler, or was his greatness a myth, built stone by stone like the palace itself? Despite the debates around this historical mystery, a hallmark fact emerges. This was an era where storytelling through art was paramount. It documented victories, illustrated legends, and captured the ephemeral nature of life. The artwork here serves as a bridge between you and the past, making you feel part of a continuum far bigger than any single narrative. In an alcove, you stumble upon an unexpected find, a collection of intricate carvings depicting musical instruments, lyres, tambourines, horns. This detail is easy to overlook in the shadow of the more prominent scenes, yet it tells a story of its own, revealing that music was as integral a part of life as politics and power. You pause contemplating how the melody of a tambourine might have echoed through these halls during grand feasts or quiet evenings. It's both dazzling and humbling to stand where history unfolded your imagination, dancing in the same space notes once filled to the brim. Eager to see what more stories lie within these ancient stones, you continue to explore each step, taking you further into the heart of a world frozen in time. It strikes you how the immensely detailed artistry might have been the work of hands unseen, voices unheard, yet leaving these indelible marks for you to ponder over centuries later. Every surface here feels like a map, guiding you through a world's hidden stories, slowly revealing itself under the gentle sway of your curiosity. Historians may never unearth all its secrets or settle every debate about who walked these halls, but this palace in all its glory defies the passage of time, letting the old stones murmur histories to anyone willing to stop and listen. The sun beats down on the endless waves of sand as you journey across the vast expanse of the desert. Caravans snake like silent rivers over the dunes, bearing precious cargo from the distant lands of India to the bustling markets of the Mediterranean. Each step feels like a footfall in history, linking lands and lives through the flow of trade. In the hazy light, you can almost smell the heady aroma of spices, cinnamon, cardamom, and saffron, mingling with the scent of rich silk and the cold gleam of gemstones. It's a wonder how these treasures make their way through the inhospitable terrain, but they do just as they have for centuries. Here and there, the rhythmic jingle of camel bells marks the heartbeat of this ancient route. Your journey is punctuated by stops at trade stations where goods are meticulously inspected, the weary travelers pausing for relief from the heat. Taxes must be paid. Every pouch of spice and roll of silk represents not just luxury, but the lifeblood of empires. Each station bristles with activity and hums with the languages of many lands, a cacophony of trade deals and guarded greetings. The Sassanids are not just warriors, though. Their prowess in battle is renowned. They are vital intermediaries, ensuring that the treasures of the East find their way to the hungry markets of the West. Trade routes like these pulse with commerce, weaving together disparate cultures and economies like threads in a grand tapestry. The role of the Sassanid Empire as a commercial hub is a historic fact. As the gateway between East and West, they weren't content with mere conquest. They nurtured trade, shaping the world with each transaction. It's said that their economy thrived as much on taxes from goods as on gold dug from the earth. Yet historians still debate whether the Sassanids understood the full complexity of their role. Were they aware of how each spice-scented breeze might carry ripples of change far beyond their borders? It's a humbling thought, like watching desert winds reshape the sand dunes, subtle but inevitable. Then there's the surprisingly sophisticated system of taxation they employed, ensuring that nothing slipped through without its due share returned to the empire. You almost chuckle as you imagine some stern official in robes counting coins and ledgering goods with the patience of a desert tortoise. Amidst the trading, you find snippets of stories. A trader whispers of mystical flora. A silk merchant haggles with the wry smile of one who knows his wares will fetch a fortune farther west. The desert makes storytellers of them all, weaving a fabric of tales around you. As you continue the caravan's movement, soothes the rolling gait of the camels, lulling you into a trance-like state. You're aware of an ancient cycle at play, goods moving forward while coins and information flow back east. It's endless, this dance of trade and time. With every step, the sands hold secrets of the past, echoing with the faint clamor of ancient traders' voices, carried by the wind, a reminder that time marches on just like caravans stretching across the horizon. You find yourself in a grand theater of ancient times where two mighty empires, the Sassanids and Byzantines, are the main performers. In this world, you are an invisible observer, gliding through the corridors of power, drawn into the rich tapestry that stretches between these colossal rivals, locked in an eternal Cold War. Their world is a mosaic of ambition, strategy, and the quiet hum of an uncertain peace, punctuated by the clash of swords and whispered treaties. Picture the vast expanses of the Byzantine Empire, its capital Constantinople, dazzling in the sunlight, gleaming domes and bustling streets. Emperor Heraclius sits upon the golden throne, pondering his next move. On the other side lies the Sassanid Empire with its own proud capital at Ctesiphon, where King Khosrow II broods his eyes, scanning the maps that detail their disputed territories, land that is as much a part of the battlefield as the soldiers themselves. You drift through time as if riding on a gentle breeze. Here you overhear scholars debating the finer points of imperial strategy over a cup of spiced wine. One argues passionately the root of our conflict lies not just in borders, but in the very heavens above. Our faiths clash like swords in the night. You find this curious, how the creed of two peoples can fuel the fires of war as brightly as land and gold ever could. The scholars nod amongst themselves, their words filled with uncertainty. Historians still debate whether it was Heraclius's religious reforms or Khosrow's expansionist policies that truly turned the tide. This unknown adds an intriguing mystery to the tale, like an unsolved puzzle that invites you to piece it together as you rest. Beyond the maps and the momentous decisions, there's a whisper of more personal stories, tales of soldiers stationed at the far reaches of their empires, unsure if their next battle will be their last. You sense their hopes and fears, perhaps not so different from your own, as you settle deeper into your slumber. Here in this twilight zone between consciousness and dreams, the harshness of historical truth, a surprise lounging in this narrative realm, is softened by the slow, deliberate pace of time itself. The Sassanid cavalry, known as the Clybenarii, charged in glorious fashion, their armor clinking like a symphony. You marvel that this massive force seemed unstoppable, cutting through enemy lines like a hot knife through butter. The clang of metal and the shouted cries of battle weave into a melody far removed from the ordinary lullabies that soothe you to sleep. It's these sounds, the resonant echoes of the past, that smooth over the tangled relations between these powerful empires. Their shared history mirrors the story of two siblings forever in rivalry, each with their accomplishments to boast, yet both entwined inextricably by blood and geography. As you glide over the verdant and barren landscapes alike, you discover that despite all their tussles and truces, neither empire could claim total victory over the other. They remain locked in this dance of dominance, a grand spectacle performed over centuries. As the moonlight filters through your dreams, you ponder the delicate balance that governs empires and bedtime alike. This power struggle ensconced in the heart of ancient times reveals, more than you expected, each strategic move, a step in a cosmic dance that continues to echo even as you approach the stillness of sleep. Feeling safe and at ease, you release these histories from your active mind. Let them drift away like a fading melody as you sink further into the warmth of your blankets. Soon, like the empires themselves, you too melt into the gentle rhythm of life, lingering on the edge of dreams, where peace and wars mingle seamlessly. Blinded by betrayal, King Kavad's world turned dark. You imagine yourself as him navigating this shadowy realm, where friends might not be as solid as the stone walls surrounding you. Yet in this darkness, there was light. You're drawn towards one flickering flame of vigor and wisdom, the sun, who would rise to bring glory to his empire, Khosrow, the king who wasn't just heir to a throne, but a beacon for the future. It feels as if you're standing in a vast library where the musky scent of ancient papyrus mingles with the fresh ink of newly penned treaties, a testament to Khosrow's vision. His eyes would dance over pages of poetry and science, much as you would peruse books during a quiet evening under a starlit canopy. The court bustles with scholars and sages weaving threads of knowledge into an intricate tapestry of thought, philosophy, and governance. You can feel the walls vibrating softly with the hum of enlightened discourse, a symphony that once resonated with the empire and beyond. Historians still debate whether his passion for such intellectual pursuits emerged from rebellion against his father's fate, or simply from a genuine thirst for knowledge. What you do know, however, is that Khosrow's name echoes through the corridors of time as the epitome of a just ruler. Khosrow's reign was a golden age, a period where governance and wisdom became two sides of the same coin, tossed by the hands of fate. In his world, cities thrived much like gardens, amidst a barren landscape vibrant and full of life. You imagine standing at a bustling bazaar in Ctesiphon, the heart of his empire. The rhythmic clinking of traded coins and the subtle fragrance of spices dance around you, creating a new harmony and perfume that silences the fears of instability that had engulfed his ancestors. Yet it wasn't merely through the arts and intellect that Khosrow's legacy was carved. History tells of his fair judgments, like a temperate breeze balancing the scorching heat of a summer sun. People from all walks of life saw him as protector and judge, a beacon of fairness that burned brightly through the darkened nights of injustice. One day, you find yourself walking through his empire on the sounds of his whispered wisdom, and you notice how seamlessly people coexist, not with fear, but hope. It feels as if governance is a steady ship upon which you sail, smoothly guided by stars of Khosrow's luminous mind. But, as every story must reach a natural ebb from its zenith, so too did this empire face the inevitable turn toward decline. Like the sun's steady descent below the horizon, softening the sky's vibrant palette into muted blues and grays, the empire began to fade. You imagine watching the shadow inch slowly, almost lovingly, over cities that once thrived under Khosrow's watch. It does not end with chaos, but a gentle reminder that the radiance of one ruler can only extend so far before history demands its due course. As you witness this sunset of an era, it serves as a tender reminder of the passage of time and the transient nature of power. You realize the journey you are on is both your own and that of the past, reflecting over decisions and actions, dreams and deeds that ripple through the fabric of today's world. With this gentle understanding, your mind eases into a calming rhythm, much like the gentle hum of a fan in a softly lit room, providing a lullaby for both history and heart alike. You remember that each ending is a doorway for another beginning, as true in the pages of history as it is in life. Through these tales, as with this story, you find solace in understanding and continuity, whispering you into a beckoning rest. Steal a chicken under the moonlit skies of the Sassanid Empire, and you'd best prepare yourself for a lashing. The breeze carries the murmurs of the desert, and as you walk through the shadowed streets of a bustling city, you're reminded of the ancient laws that rule this land. Some say the laws are etched in the stars themselves, dictated by not only the need for order, but the will of the gods. It's a serene yet tense evening. You feel the weight of history on your shoulders as you imagine what it would be like to navigate such a world. Those laws were much more than decrees etched on stone tablets. They were living, breathing entities, intertwined with the divine tapestry of life. Speak ill of the gods, and death might find you before your next breath. The punishments here can be harsh reminders of existence's frailty, with a justice system that thrives on spiritual peace, as much as on keeping the mortal realm in check. Now the Sassanids had curious ways of handling transgressions. Picture this. You're standing in a crowded square, the sun beginning its descent, casting long shadows that seem to whisper secrets from ancient times. A man steps forward, a confessed thief, who seeks forgiveness not just from men, but from the celestial beings watching from above. His punishment does not end with a public lashing. No, there's an added layer, a ritual unknown to many, beyond these borders, rituals of confession and public repentance, where one's soul is weighed alongside one's actions. You wonder, as a modern observer whisked back to this era, what makes this justice system so layered. Historians still debate whether these spiritual punishments truly fostered a sense of moral rectitude, or were simply a way to instill fear. As you mull this over, your mind drifts to the grand magisterial court of the Sassanid king, the Shah, whose authority is as divine as the stone temples that mark the horizon. The legal codes you imagine being discussed there might baffle a modern mind. They incorporate religious doctrines seamlessly into earthly justice. One startling detail catches your attention amid all the laws and decrees. In some instances, the judgment would consider intentions above the deed itself. Was it an accident, or were sinister thoughts behind that stolen chicken? This added nuance, an attempt to align the earthly justice with divine judgment, keeps you pondering. As the night deepens, the city seems to breathe a collective sigh. The stars emerge, dotting the sky with celestial guidelines, watched by priests and pointed to by scribes. Every judgment passed under these laws reverberates beyond the city walls, touching the heavens themselves. Speaking ill of the gods turns your thoughts toward the inscriptions etched deep into the hidden caves of the Zoroastrian priests. Words of warmth and warnings tell tales of old, when such whispers could warrant dire consequences. One whispered word against the deities might be enough to seal one's fate, where the blade of justice is as much an act of piety as it is retribution. The Sassanid justice you find isn't cold and detached. It's vibrant and human, wrapped tightly around the belief in a cosmic order. And as you meander through the night, following the whispers of history, through the labyrinthine streets, you begin to understand the complexities of a world where justice isn't merely a word, but a living, breathing practice. Perhaps you'll dream tonight of those laws intertwined with the very fabric of society, as whispers from ancient chanting fill your mind with mystery and awe. Imagine a place where a simple misstep on holy ground might beckon you into public penance, a penance not just for yourself, but for cosmic harmony. Yet even now, as you slowly drift towards slumber, the fine line between reverence and fear blurs much like the light from dying embers before sleep takes hold. In this sleepy state, you become part of the past ever so briefly. Finally, you succumb to the world where justice and spirituality dance together under the watchful gaze of eternal skies. You find yourself in a world where the clang of armor and the rhythmic thud of hooves carry a weight of history as immense as the metal on the knights' backs. These are the Cataphract, the elite cavalrymen whose very sight was meant to strike fear into the hearts of any who dared oppose the empire. Imagine them now trotting across expansive battlefields, the sun glinting off their polished surfaces like a sea of molten silver. Their horses, enormous beasts clad in layers of steel, move with a cumbersome grace. Yet every step they take is decisive, echoing the empire's might. You'd feel the ground tremble beneath you from the weight, from the anticipation, from the sheer awe of witnessing such a grand procession. Their presence was supposed to be unstoppable, a rolling tide of metal and muscle that could flatten what lay before it. Historians describe these cataphracts with reverence, sharing tales of their impact in ancient battles. Nevertheless, they still debate whether their impressive appearance was matched by effectiveness, possibly overrated compared to lighter, more agile cavalry forces. After all, magnificence alone cannot win battles. Behind each gleaming exterior, though, lies a reality check the cost. You might expect that outfitting a single cataphract was no small task. Each suit of armor was a masterful creation, meticulously crafted from numerous pieces, fitted together like a jigsaw. Shields, lances, helms. These glimmering components came at a price so steep it could empty the emperor's coffers quicker than you could recount these tales of grandeur. And that's just the start. the cataphracts weren't all dazzling displays of imperial finery. Their might quite literally needed a constant stream of resources to sustain it. Feeding them was as elaborate an affair as the armor itself. Horses of such stature required vast quantities of fodder, while the knights living the life of both warrior and noble needed their own share of sustenance to keep their strength. So here's your fact of the night. It's said that maintaining the cataphracts consumed a significant portion of the empire's treasury. Kings and emperors weighed these costs against the threat of invasion and the prestige of commanding such a force. Decisions were not taken lightly, as rolling out these living fortresses for display or defense meant real impact on the kingdom's wealth, not to mention logistics akin to preparing for a grand feast every time they rode forth. And yet, these warriors rode with a sense of pride. Imagine the feeling as one of them a triumphant figure, not just in appearance, but in the knowledge that their mere presence spoke volumes of the empire's capabilities. In modern terms, it's like owning a vintage sports car. You drive it because it's exhilarating and people turn their heads when you go by. But many know well the cost and care involved are not for the faint of heart. And just like that prize car, tucked away in a garage, the cataphracts, too, were often reserved for only the most crucial of battles where their imposing figures could turn the tide and assure a dominant display of power. Yet, as the evening draws near, the story of the cataphracts turns into gentle whispers of past glories. Some might argue whether their legend is larger than life itself, but isn't that what makes the tale fascinating? The blend of undeniable power and the whispered questions of historians, forming the narrative tapestry that becomes part of your own bedtime journey. As you rest, remember that history moves like a cataphract's march, slow, powerful, leaving lasting impressions upon the landscapes of time. Each step a reminder of the price of grandeur and the enduring allure of stories that travel beyond their days. Your feet glide over smooth, sun-warmed stones that have borne the stories of countless generations before you. Every corridor echoes with the whispers of the past like an ancient incantation to summon distant echoes of courage and battle. As you move deeper into this world, the tales of the Carnegie Ardashir come alive, unfolding, a narrative once told by firelight. Here, the whispering winds carry the story of Ardashir, a man born from dreams and determined to carve his destiny out of the chaos that ruled his time. His adventure is one of founding empires, battling extraordinary beasts, and then quite possibly confronting fate itself. As Ardashir begins his path to greatness, he is woven into the fabric of his storied bloodline, reaching back to the great kings who ruled before him. He bears their wisdom and their burdens, his tale intertwined with the fate of the empire he will protect. Yet like all great stories, uncertainty surrounds the heroes of long ago. Historians still debate whether Ardashir truly raced against time itself, or if his humble beginnings were sharpened by legend through the ages. Whatever the truth, Ardashir learned early on to listen to the whispers in the wind, hints of guidance from a world long past. There is a moment, a pause in time, where you lay down beside a crystal clear pond, mirrored only by endless skies, and the world around you begins to settle. You feel the echo of Ardashir's heartbeat steady and unyielding, much like the gentle pulse you felt beneath your fingertips on the surface of the pond. The same pulse, perhaps, once persisted through hours of untold magnificence in grand halls echoing with stories of kings and heroes. In this world of fantastical lore, not far from where you rest, monsters lurked in shadows, not the kind found under beds or hiding in closets, but rather an embodiment of fear and challenge. Gargantuan beasts said to have risen from nightmares, roaming landscapes and haunting the brave. Each beast woven into the stories served as a test for Ardashir and other heroes like him, a test to prove their worth, their courage, and at times their very humanity. Yet these creatures, each unique in their own frightful elegance, are as mysterious as the myths themselves. Would you believe that some of these beasts may very well have been real? Tales tell of the Simmer, a gigantic bird, wise beyond measure, offering counsel only to the worthy. A creature so impactful, it's said it transformed the destinies of many who dared seek it. The richness of the Sassanid tales, though often lost to the sands of time, carried a cultural fire, an incandescent glow of Persian storytelling artistry, passed down through oral traditions long before the world knew of pen and parchment. The stories served as both entertainment and education, a way to recite history and philosophy, knotted together with moral threads that ran deep, resonating with those who had the patience to unravel them. Even centuries later, Ferdowsi would draw upon these ancient stories, breathing new life into the centuries-old flames, crafting the immortal Shahnameh. Just as Ardashir's legacy was built upon the legends of those before him, so too did Ferdowsi stand upon the shoulders of Sassanid giants, turning whispers into words that would echo across the ages. Roaming through these tales, you find yourself questioning what it means to be brave and bold, to challenge fate, or shape it to one's will. Every shadow, every breeze tells you that the fire of these stories has never truly flickered out. Like a torch passed down through countless hands, it's kept alight by those who venture into the past and carry its illumination back into the present. It's these fires of storytelling that kindle the minds of future generations, waiting with patience for those ready to fan the embers into a new flame. The Karnamagi Ardashir, like so many other tales left in the echoes of history, reminds you that every end is but a new beginning. The old tales shaping the new, a continuous cycle that carries on into the night. The palace, the pond, and you, the listener, are all part of this tapestry-breathing life into the past, while creating a thread in the ongoing story of Persian narrative. Lulled by the calm rhythm of this enduring journey, you start to drift into the lullaby of history, each word wrapping you in blankets of ancient comforting lore. The whisper of Ardashir's triumphs and trials, they reach you like a comfortable melody, resonant and familiar. As you find yourself sinking deeper into this world, you realize that history, much like a dream, is best experienced in moments of quiet reflection, held close to your heart, an eternal echo of stories told by those who dared to dream. You find yourself in the vibrant, bustling city of Ctesiphon, the air vibrating with the whisper of tales, both ancient and new. As you navigate the streets, your journey takes you into the heart of an era marked by spiritual ferment and philosophical turmoil. The Sasanian Empire, once known for its Zoroastrian fire temples and grandiose rituals, was now a cauldron of changing and clashing beliefs. In the midst of this spiritual upheaval, you hear whispers of a figure named Mazdak. His teachings are radical and unsettling to the establishment. Mazdakism preaches a kind of communal living where wealth and resources are to be shared. It's almost like a vision of utopia, and you find yourself intrigued by the audacity of it all. You can't help but admire how bold and revolutionary his ideas are, even as they brew discontent and unrest among those in power. Historians still debate whether Mazdak was truly a heretic or a visionary. What is clear, however, is that his teachings could not be easily ignored. Some kings listened with cautious interest, while others viewed him with intense suspicion. You move through the marketplace, picking up on murmurs from merchants and travelers alike, who discuss these ideas with equal measures of thrill and trepidation. The air crackles with the tension of possibility. It's in this fertile ground of ideas that takes you to another figure, whose ideas were both alluring and dangerous. Manichaeism, with its cosmic duality, presents the world as a battle between the forces of light and darkness. This adds a mystical layer to every interaction around you as people ponder the eternal struggle within and outside themselves. As you wander through the teeming streets, you notice a gathering at a street corner where an older man gestures passionately. He's recounting tales of kings who tolerated these new philosophies, their courts becoming melting pots of vibrant discourse and artistic flourish. Yet the same kings, seemingly capricious, could also turn to persecution at a moment's notice, snuffing out voices like flickering candles in the wind. In this realm, diversity of faiths brings both creativity and risk. You marvel at how resilience grows in the face of adversity, just as wildflowers bloom in inhospitable terrain. You reflect on the peculiar fact that amidst such chaos, creativity often found its brightest expression. Poetry, art, and thinkers thrived, drawing from the rich well of cultural and philosophical exchange. Your thoughts wander to the whispers of travelers about magnificent murals and audacious plays that tackle themes of divine struggle. These works become the silent witnesses capturing the zeitgeist of an era too complex to be neatly defined. Here, the past is not a collection of dates and names, but a vivid tapestry woven from countless threads of truth and myth. It's curious, you muse, how the flourishing of diverse beliefs is paradoxically shadowed by an inherent danger. The same energy that fuels innovation can ignite tumult and strife. Yet despite, or perhaps because of this instability, the human spirit persists in its exploration of the spiritual terrain. As the night deepens, you walk beneath the shimmering constellations, splashed across the heavens like an artist's dream. The tales of Mazdak and Mani linger in your mind, their teachings reminding you of the eternal quest for meaning in a world that is both beautiful and unpredictable. Under the watchful gaze of the stars, contentment settles over you. The hum of ancient wisdom and modern mystery lull you into a gentle reverie. You close your eyes to the musings of long-past prophets and dreamers, feeling a sense of connection to the countless seekers who walked these paths long before you, and to those who will come after. The empire, once a beacon of strength and unity, now stands like a grand mosaic, with cracks spreading across its surface. You can almost hear the faint clinking of tiles, loosening, whispering tales of old glory, now forgotten in the dusty corridors of time. Amidst this grand tale, imagine yourself wandering through a bustling market in the heart of the empire, where the chatter of merchants mingles with the cries of hawkers. It's a place where languages blend into a symphony of daily life, an intricate dance interrupted only by the occasional clatter of hooves on cobblestones as messengers rush back and forth. You pause to watch a puppet show one of the emperor himself, though it's clear the crowd can laugh openly without fear. The irony is not lost on you. Public displays like these hint at the growing disenchantment with the crown. It's as if the empire's subjects are peering through a curtain, seeing the strings that control their ruler, a puppet master who no longer hides. Corruption seeps into the fabric of society, a silent plague gnawing at the edges. Officials in richly embroidered robes walk about with their chests puffed high, yet you can't help but notice the purses tied to their waists seem suspiciously full. Bribes, whispers of deceit, and backdoor deals are the open secrets of the day. A woman selling fragrant spices pauses mid-transaction to lean in and share a tidbit about the imperial court. You listen intently as she recounts tales of intrigue, brothers poised against brothers vying for a throne that becomes emptier with every passing coup. Historians still debate whether this brotherly squabbling was the emperor's own doing, a ploy to extend his reign through division. Just as you're drawn into this web of imperial intrigue, your thoughts are punctuated by the distant rumbling of disagreement. Here you learn of civil war, a brewing storm between regions that have slipped beyond the emperor's grasp. It's said that in the northern reaches, a charismatic leader is gathering followers promising change and a new dawn. The crowd isn't sure if it's mere folklore or the stirring of yet another rebellion. After all, history has a way of embellishing. Your gaze drifts to the horizon toward the lands that stretch beyond the empire's known borders. Little do the citizens know that out there beyond the desert and mountains, new forces are awakening. They move quietly under the cover of night, like the soft breath of wind creeping in to reshape the dunes. The sands of the desert carry stories of their own, and in them a truth that will soon touch the lives of all who claim the empire as their home. But for now, under the calming embrace of the starlit sky, the city continues its nightly symphony, unaware a million stories unfolding in the glow of flickering lamps. As you stroll away from the market, a cool breeze rustles past, carrying with it a sense of change that even the air itself seems to know. You've heard, of course, tales of faraway armies, though many here dismiss them as mere exaggeration. Yet in this moment, with the moon gently illuminating your path, You feel a quiet certainty. Something is nearing unseen, yes, to be truly acknowledged. It's a strange comfort, this anticipation of transition. The empire, with all its imperfections and beauty, is a living tale unraveling before you. Time continues its inexorable march, just as those forces beyond the sands find their footing. Before long, the echoes of the market fade, replaced by the soft serenity of the night. A gentle reminder whispered by the stars, a new chapter is ready to be written, though the ink is yet to dry on the last. You can close your eyes and rest now, knowing the present is but a bridge to the future, a future shared by all who dream beneath this same expanse of sky. As you find yourself standing on the vast plains of Mesopotamia, the air is thick with the warmth of the late afternoon sun, casting long shadows that dance near your feet. You are part of a great army fighting for the glory of Persia, under the command of the renowned General Rostam. The clang of metal and the cries of warriors surround you, but you remain focused, undeterred, prepared for the reality that you probably won't survive this tense confrontation. In this grand stage of history, you are part of the Persian forces facing a formidable foe, the Arab-Muslim armies advancing with determination and skill. The battle that unfolds is fierce, a tumultuous clash that will go down in history not just as a loss, but quite astonishingly as the pivotal collapse of a once mighty empire. General Rostam, with his reputation for being an astute and fearless leader, commands the Persian forces his presence, a beacon of hope. But even as the sun begins to dip below the horizon, creating a breathtaking canvas of reds and purples, the echoes of desperation and the heavy aura of uncertainty begin to cloud the air. The legend of Rostam is great, yet historians debate whether his strategies might have faltered amidst the waves of this unrelenting onslaught. Typically, battles are won and lost, but this one seems different, more profound. Unbeknownst to you, the very essence of your civilization is under siege. As you fight, you might recall the sacred fires of Zoroastrian temples, flickering with an eternal promise, a cycle of light never to be extinguished. These flames are symbols of your faith and culture, anchoring the spiritual life of the people, twining around the soul of Persia itself. Despite the chaos, there's an intrinsic belief that these fires will always burn bright against the encroaching darkness. Yet on this day, as the battle rages, something shifts. General Rostam falls a pivotal moment, immediate and surreal. It's as if time itself pauses, holding its breath. A thread has been cut, leaving the fabric of confidence unraveling. In the aftermath, there's a harrowing silence. The embodiment of Persia's strength lies motionless, a sad parallel to the grand temples whose silence you foresee. And so, in the years that follow, like a whisper carried away by the wind, the sacred flames dim. The Zoroastrian temples, once vibrant centers of worship and community, grow quiet. Their silence is profound, a gentle yet potent reminder that eras come and go. Such austere beauty in the quiet, the way history can gently erase, soften the footsteps of grandeur. But here in this moment of history, the profound realization of the Persian Empire's transformation stirs something deep within. Surprising to some, a pattern one might observe is how resilient human hope can be. Despite devastation, people always adapt, find new paths in the aftermath of cataclysm. The promise of rebirth nestled in the heart of collapse. As you reflect on this field, feeling a part of its history, you are lulled by the enduring connection to those who witnessed this firsthand. Understanding, as the dusk softly envelops you, that while moments and empires fade, stories persist, glowing in the minds and hearts of those willing to listen. The Arabian winds, in their infinite sweep across these ancient lands, carry tales of triumphs and failures of flames, once bright, now gentle embers against the vast canvases of time. You rest knowing you've become part of an endless narrative, where each voice echoes within eternity, whether whispered in a temple or carried by the evening breeze. So now, as the night fully embraces a world in flux, you let yourself drift within the melodies of time, finding both peace and perspective amid the familiar stars overhead. In this delicate balance between the past's whispers and the present's tranquility, you find a gentle closure for this chapter of history, feeling more connected to the world, comforted by the endless cycles of time's unbroken journey. You exhale slowly your breaths, merging with the tender lull of the incoming night, embracing the timeless cadence of a story still unfolding. Yet, as the calming undertones of the Sassanid symphonies linger gently over the serene landscapes of ancient Persia, you find yourself surrounded by the echoes of an era that shaped the very foundation beneath your feet. The night is silent and warm, offering little more than the soft rustle of the leaves, whispering tales of grandeur that still course through your mind. The moonlight almost teasingly drapes the remnants of once magnificent columns and ornate carvings in soft silver, creating a delicate interplay between shadow and light. You wander under this ethereal glow, feeling for a moment as though you've stumbled into a grand bazaar of ideas, all coalescing into a grand tapestry woven by time itself. Here, beneath the open sky, forgotten voices murmur timeless secrets shared in the palaces of Ctesiphon. It's in this lingering hush that a peculiar thought arises, the quiet tenacity with which Sassanid traditions seeped into the world of Islam after the empire crumbled. The silent persistence of an empire taking root in the soil of poetry, law, art, and the gentle rituals that hummed through whispered prayers and intangible hopes. One such whisper calls you to gaze upon the domes and arches you've seen before. Yes, those grand sweeping structures often found in the heart of Iran's architectural wonders. Their elegance might have made you sigh with admiration in days long past. But did you know they can trace their ancestry back to the Sassanid love for grand designs? Historians believe that the smooth arc of a dome, effortlessly hanging in the air, may be a Sassanid to Islamic architectural gift. And while scholars still debate whether this truly was the inception of Persia's soaring architecture, the notion softly sings through the accompanying breeze, embroidering mystery into the saga you unspool in your thoughts. As you trail your fingers along the intricate stonework, you ponder the subtle transition of art forms from one culture to another. It's a bit like watching a vibrant dance evolve. When new partners step on stage, all the elements blend into something fresh, yet comfortably familiar. Underneath swirling patterns, ancient craftspeople's hands imbued ceramics with delicate hues and motifs that later graced the courts and palaces of a changed society. Even within the dim light cast by the moon, you sense the dexterity and heart poured into those timeless designs. And the colors, oh, how they would have sung under the blistering sun of antiquity. In the courts where poets spun dreamy tapestries from words, Sassanid influences took hold as well. You recall the poems of Rumi Hafez that have danced before your mind's eye. Were they not infused with the spirit of Sassanid, artful conversation and sweet phrasing? A clever literary twist, perhaps, that the echoes of an ancient empire should ripple through lines of verse cherished in times yet to come. But this tale that cradles you in its soft embrace doesn't end with art and verse alone. Law, too, found wisdom rooted in Sassanid soil. The governance and jurisprudence flowing into Islamic caliphates often drew from the Sassanids' structured order, a remarkable feat when you consider that empires often lose their wisdom amidst conquering waves. A certain tenacity there, isn't it? Just like a favorite story that refuses to fade, retold with slight variations until it etches itself into tradition. Reflecting upon this, you feel a tingle of surprise. Was it not surprising that an empire's spirit, buried yet unsilenced, still thrived in the very marrow of a new world? Perhaps it's quite like the sun that never truly sets, merely dipping below the horizon to await the dawn, a circle never ending. A breeze tugs at your hair, now fragrant with the promise of jasmine, carrying with it lingering notes of a bygone age. In the hushed stirrings of this night, you see how religious rituals too carry Sassanid fingerprints. The quiet moments of reflection, the cadence of prayer, the sacred spaces for seeking solace, each a gentle reminder of the empire's spiritual legacy, one that's woven into the fabric of everyday life in ways seen and unseen. As the stories of history swirl about the cooling evening, you allow yourself a small smile. Despite the empire's fall, its legacy held steady, whispered behind the door, and gently spoken beneath the stars, persisting through time, choosing different paths, and finding its way back into the stories of today. As intricate and lasting as the arches and mosaics that pepper the land, the Sassanid spirit is a saga continued unchanged in essence, but evolving with the breath of every new storyteller. The stars above wink, knowingly perhaps urging you to seek the Sassanid in every nuance of today's Iran. With each footstep, with each quiet moment, caught between the pages of a history book or through liquid constellations in the night sky, there's a tangible link to that ancient world. Underneath all quotidian affairs, the architecture of the Sassanid lives on in its modern echoes, a reminder of roles once played, of words once spoken, of hands once joined. Lulled by these gentle revelations, the night folds you into its embrace. As your breaths settle into rhythmic companionship with the rustle of the night, allow the ongoing saga of empires long gone to cradle you into serene repose. Remember that history weaves through every dream, and waking hour its lessons like whispers in the cool night air quietly, persistently, eternally present. As you sit beside the sacred fire, its warmth seeped into your bones as the cool night air caressed your skin. The desert around you was alive with whispers, each breeze stirring forgotten echoes among the broken stones. Shadows danced along the temple's crumbling walls, and as you watched, they seemed to take the form of ghostly figures from a time long past. This temple now in ruin was once a place of great power and reverence. It had stood tall, a testament to the empire that built it, an empire whose name was once spoken with the same awe as Rome itself. This empire, fierce rich in culture and ambition, rose from wind-swept sands, challenging the mighty Romans with a spirit as indomitable as the desert itself. But like so many others, it eventually faded into obscurity, not through grand battles alone, but through a quiet ebbing of power, like sand slipping through fingers. You listen to the ancient history whispering through the air. One story stands out, a tale of the empire's rebellious nature. Their warriors were known for their unique weapons, crafted not just from bronze or steel, but sometimes adorned with precious gems. And here's the cheeky part historians still debate, whether these embellishments came from a tradition of craftsmanship or simply the king's fondness for bling. In these stones past, rulers echoed their defiance against imperial Rome. Their soldiers wore armor that gleamed under the sun, and their leaders held councils in chambers where even the walls whispered secrets. These leaders were wise, steering their people through times of prosperity and peril alike, using strategies few could predict. You find yourself admiring their ingenuity. Imagine, for instance, the way they utilize their harsh environment to their advantage. Where others saw only desert, they saw the perfect camouflage. Ambushes became their art form, and their knowledge of the land baffled their foes time and time again. And yes, they even figured out some pretty clever ways to stay hydrated, though I wouldn't recommend trying that at home, unless dehydration is your thing. Some say the empire fell not with a bang, but with the faintest of sighs, as internal struggles gnawed at its foundations. There's uncertainty about which factor truly ended their reign. Was it the treachery of allies, the betrayal of trust? Or did a series of poor harvests finally tip the scales? Like specters, these questions linger in the night air, unanswered yet eternally intriguing. Tonight, though, you are simply a listener, not a seeker of solutions. As the fire crackles softly, you feel the presence of those who came before. Their voices, gentle and inviting, remind you that history is as much about the lives lived quietly as those lived loudly. The empire may have vanished beneath the sands, but its spirit lingers wrapped in the desert winds. You hear the call of ancient instruments, their notes curling around you, a lullaby from the past. And just as you close your eyes, you remember that every stone, every secret the desert holds, is now a story to guide you into sleep.